Hello and welcome. This presentation is on the Everglades National Park and restoring the River of Grass back to its natural and healthy state. According to the National Park Services, the Everglades National Park takes up about 1.5 million acres in southern Florida. That encompasses, I think, 3 counties in southern Florida, which is pretty amazing. There's also 13 endangered species that inhabit the park, as well as other parts of southern Florida. With all of this unfortunately, there is some bad news. Recently, 25% of the Everglades has been damaged by pollution created by the overflow of Lake Okeechobee. According to Kristen Shade Poole, the Everglades has lost 50% of its land in the last hundred years. Um, this is because water is being diverted from Lake Okeechobee to the coasts of Florida, where it's supposed to be getting flowed into the Everglades, and it's causing some issues. It's 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 not giving the water that the Everglades needs, drying it up, and in some cases, water is actually coming up from the Atlantic and Gulf of Mexico, and uh, and ruining the grass because of the salinity of the salt water from these bodies of water, instead of it getting its fresh water which it's supposed to be getting. Um, According to Water Science and Technology, water is being diverted from Lake Okeechobee to the coasts, into the Indian River Lagoon on the east coast and the Sarasota Bay Inlet on the west coast. And these bodies of water were not designed for fresh water. They're polluting those bodies of water like the saltwater is polluting the Everglades, and it's killing the saltwater life. This fresh water is causing great big algae blooms. Many people in the area are familiar with the red tide that we experience in the summer, and this is all because of the discharge from Lake Okeechobee. Now, my solution, something that I've actually put some decent thought into, is to create a reservoir south of Lake Okeechobee and north of the Everglades, kind of in between, where this water that is supposed to be getting diverted and dumped into the Everglades is going to come into this reservoir and be filtered and then get pushed back into the Everglades where it needs to be, where the Everglades are begging for more water to be put into it, and it needs it to sustain the life and the wildlife that it has. Now, with this will come some opposing views. Mainly big businesses dump a lot of their chemicals, fertilizers, um, all kinds of runoff from businesses are into Lake Okeechobee. Now, when this idea goes into effect, um, this is going to be monitored heavily, and they're not going to be happy about it. But I know that these big businesses, we can find a different way to dispose of their wastes instead of dumping it into Lake Okeechobee. Another opposition could possibly be people that lived on Lake Okeechobee. In 1918, there was a huge flood in Lake Okeechobee, and these people may think that closing off these dumping areas that go to the east and west coast of Florida will cause the lake to flood again, but it shouldn't. This reservoir will be big enough to hold water in an emergency case where water needs to be diverted from the lake to somewhere else. This reservoir will be able to hold it. And one last group of people could be environmentalists. These environmentalists might not like all the big machinery and all the work that'll take place. Will be have to dig, but all of this will be better than what the Everglades looks like now, and how suffering it is. So I want you guys to just visualize what the Everglades is supposed to look like, how healthy it is. Um, the Everglades is not a body of land; it is a lot of water. It's flowing water over grass. That's its natural habitat, and it needs to get back restored to that, and that we need to do it soon. Um, and with that, with the growth of the Everglades, with all the water coming back will come with wildlife and attractants for people, and our tourism will go up, which will boost our economy as well. So this is a big deal. And finally, if there's one thing I can ask for everybody, it's to do your due diligence. According to Earth Science, Florida, the government is responsible for fixing this. They're responsible for for getting us back to how the Everglades is supposed to be. And if I could do anything, I would ask you to write to a public official, someone in the government, our governor, write to our governor, write to someone in your county, write to somebody and tell them you want to help, you want to do something to get the Everglades back to how it's supposed to be. I thank you all for listening, and I hope you do something to help our environment.